Now, cloud computing, storage and related services are a part of our everyday lives. Now, Amazon Web Services, or AWS as the company is more commonly known, is among the biggest and most established players, providing companies with servers and storage to rent over the internet. Well, behind the scenes, several large companies, from food delivery services to OTT platforms, rely on their services. Well, AWS has a large and growing presence in Saudi Arabia and has forged a groundbreaking partnership with the PIF AI company Humane. Well, we're joined now by Tanuja Randery, who is the Managing Director and VP of AWS for the Europe, Middle East and Africa regions. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Just to kick things off, could you give us a real-world example of just who a typical client is in Saudi Arabia and what you do for them?
Thanks, Tom. It's great to be here. Absolutely talking with you about what we're doing in Saudi and the region. Look, I think if you're watching Netflix, if you're ordering a ride service, if you're getting pizza delivered to your door or any other wonderful Saudi delicacy, or you're watching sports, you're using in some form or the other the cloud, and in this case AWS in a lot of those examples. But let me give you a one that I'm super passionate about. We're sponsors of esports, the World Cup, and with Amazon and AWS, what we made happen for the esports World Cup viewers is using Amazon ads. We were really integrating fan engagement. Our Twitch platform allows video streaming of the sport for fans. And then with Alexa, we were doing very cool quizzes and updates. So there's a wide range of services that we bring in the sports arena. And the data and AI really allows our fans to experience the sport in a completely different way. And then in a completely different area, financial services and payments, you will know Judea, of course, in Saudi, huge payments fintech provider. They are using the AWS cloud platform to modernize the infrastructure and make sure that they're able to be both scalable, secure, more resilient, and available to their customers at all times. So two very different examples of how Saudi is using the cloud.
Okay, so when it comes to AWS and the services you provide in Saudi Arabia, are you seeing some strong demand in certain sectors? I mean, which sectors stand out, would you say?
Well, look, let me maybe step back, because I think the region itself, and you, of course, know this very well, Tom, but the vision of the region is very exciting. Whether you're in Saudi Arabia or the UAE, the desire to be a powerhouse in the space of AI and more broadly the knowledge services economy is very exciting. The other thing we see is the investment is following the vision. So you're actually seeing investment in data centers, you're seeing investment in providing energy and capacity, you're seeing investment in people and the economy across government and businesses. And then finally, what gets us most excited, of course, is the customer adoption that we're seeing. So if you see what's happening, whether you're in the energy sector or media sector or government sector, or by the way, the healthcare sector, the AI adoption we're seeing is very significant. In fact, almost 30% of businesses across Saudi are using the technology in some form or the other. And we're seeing 50% plus saying they want to use the technology, right? So if you bring that all together, the potential for cloud and AI to enable the economy in KSA, but also broadly across the Middle East, is over $700 billion of economic value by 2033, right? So just an incredible set of, I'd say, tailwinds coming together to position the Middle East region, not only for the Middle East, but for a global economy as well. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing absolute adoption across multiple sectors in the Middle East. A very good example is logistics. One that, of course, we spend a lot of time on is Amazon, but Aramex, who you might know, global logistics provider, is also modernizing their infrastructure and moving from an on-premise environment to the cloud environment to take advantage of that scale that you were talking about, the resilience you were talking about, and the security that comes from using the cloud.
Okay, we're going to talk a bit more about artificial intelligence in a minute. But before we do that, I mean, sticking with what AWS does and offers, I mean, you're not alone in this region, are you? And you've clearly got competition. But I wondered what you think gives AWS an edge.
We aren't alone. And by the way, it is good to see a competitive environment, right? Because our customers require choice. Look, what is it about AWS that differentiates us? I think there's three things that I'm going to talk to. One is the scale. We were pioneers of the cloud, Tom, and there is no compression algorithm for experience. You know, we've been at this for about 20 years. We operate at a scale that no one else operates globally. And I think that's super important because with scale comes all of that experience in the way that you operate, you know, the efficiency that you can drive for our customers. So that I think is one. And with that scale comes one of the broadest and deepest platforms in terms of the innovation that we bring to the table. We have over 200 services that we bring to our customer across cloud, compute, storage, data, all of which, by the way, are foundational to being able to leverage AI. And then I think the third thing that I would mention is if you look at all of the software companies around the world that all of our customers require, you know, whether you're talking about SAP or Salesforce on the one hand, or you're talking about Temenos on the other hand, you know, all of these ISVs, or Schlumberger for the energy sector, all of them are running on the AWS infrastructure. So this deep ISV partner ecosystem, combined with our partner ecosystems and the systems integration and consulting space, enables our customers to adopt this technology at scale. And then I guess just back to the point about Humane, you know, we are very deeply committed to working with local partners. And the reason for that is local partners bring a depth of understanding and a nuance about the culture and the way customers use technology and adopt it that completely transforms how quickly we can actually make the magic happen, as we say. So I think those are the reasons that really separate us. You know, we've been investing heavily and at scale in AI infrastructure. And I can easily come on to what we're doing in the Middle East, but we've been in the Middle East for a very long time, deeply committed to the region. We were in Bahrain for quite some time with our data center infrastructure, the UAE, as you know, with our data center infrastructure, and coming soon this year to Saudi, you know, over $5 billion of investment to build our data center and AI infrastructure in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Well, so lots is happening. I mean, you've got this partnership with Humane. You've just mentioned this $5 billion investment in a data center infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. I mean, so much happening, as well as this AI zone as well. Just tell us a bit more about the partnership and why you think it's so significant.
The $5 billion I mentioned earlier was the investment we are making in the actual launch of our region. And
right.
By region, I mean our data center infrastructure that will be in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which means our customers can access the cloud locally, important for data residency, important for low latency and performance. So, but in addition to that, we also have a joint investment with Humane, the national AI champion of Saudi, and that is to bring, as you said, the first of its kind, actually, AWS AI zone into the kingdom. And what is this AWS AI zone? So together, we are going to provide the most powerful AI compute infrastructure. By that, I mean, of course, the infrastructure, which is the chips that power AI services, both training and inferencing. And then in addition to that, we will bring our entire AI stack into a purpose-built Humane data center. And by AI stack, what I mean by that is on top of obviously the layer of infrastructure and the chips, which are both NVIDIA and of course AWS Trainium, we will provide our services that allow our customers to access the models for training. So Amazon Bedrock is our platform that allows over 100 LLMs, by the way, large language models, available to our customers for training purposes and inferencing purposes behind the Bedrock platform. And then we also provide agentic AI platforms that allow them to deploy agents at scale and additional services that allow them to actually do much better on the software development and coding on the one hand, knowledge management on the other hand, or customer service transformation in terms of the use cases of AI. So all of that AI stack will be powered by Humane's data center locally in Riyadh. And then together, we will take our capabilities to enable our customers to be actually using this technology at scale. So it's a phenomenal partnership. And of course, NVIDIA is very much part of this partnership. You'll have seen at the US Saudi Forum that we announced that we're bringing over 150,000 chips to the region along with NVIDIA and Humane.
Now, Saudi Arabia's got some huge AI ambitions, as we all know, and the kingdom wants to be this global artificial intelligence powerhouse by the year 2030. What you make of this ambition, and where do you see Saudi Arabia on the road towards achieving those goals?
Yeah, look, I started by saying this, the reason we are investing here is because of that incredible vision and desire to innovate. And I tell you what really stands out for me and I've spent a lot of time in the region over the past couple of years. What stands out for me is this desire to leapfrog. It is not to just follow. And I think that is the differentiator here, right? So of course, they want Saudi Arabia, businesses, governments want to access all of this technology, but they're already thinking about how they can absolutely innovate beyond, right? And I think that's important. The second thing I think will give them absolute ability to be a powerhouse in this space is that once they understand the importance of regulation, their regulatory environment is extremely innovation friendly. Right? So we see this, and that's why we're also there, because we can see that the government of Saudi Arabia is really leaning into that vision of a thriving society, a thriving economy, a thriving, the regulatory environment and the investments in energy and data center infrastructure are available. So that combination and that incredible ambition, powered by global partnerships that they lean into, is what I think positions them to be incredibly effective in this journey.
Now, I wanted to ask you about a recent media report from the last couple of days, and it regards redundancies within Amazon and AWS. What can you tell us about that, and which geographies do you think are going to be most affected?
Yeah, no, thanks for raising that. Look, I think as any organization, we're always looking at ways to ensure that we can, simplify the organization, ensure that we are, resetting towards the areas of highest priorities. We are, of course, always sad to see, individuals leave, but at the same time, we are investing in areas that we know will be the powerhouses of tomorrow. And again, coming back to what we were saying here, our investments continue globally as well as in the Middle East to ensure that we can actually enable these customers of ours. We talked earlier about the energy sector. Aramco, ADNOC are incredibly important organizations, and we're investing heavily with them in their AI-powered services. If you look at banking, you've got, Judea, as I mentioned, as a fintech, but then a phenomenal banking environment in the area. In the education sector, with training, it's super important for us to work with universities. By the way, we have a great partnership with a number of universities there as well. So our focus is ensure that our customers, working backwards from what they require, have the innovation that's needed at the point of presence, which is locally as well as globally, and ensure that those are fueled by innovation services and the talent, both of Amazon and AWS, but also local talent to ensure that we can actually enable them in this incredible time. I mean, AI is incredibly transformative, Tom. And when I talked about this incredible, 1.14% of the GDP of MENA, which could be influenced by AI in terms of economic value creation, this is the time for us together to be very, very bold in terms of investing in people, talent, and bringing this agentic transformation into businesses and government.
Okay, so Tanuja, what you're saying is that AI has been a massive game changer for so many sectors and so many companies, including yours. And perhaps therein lies the explanation for revisiting future plans and recruitment requirements as well.
I think it's so important for us at this stage because we don't even know, Tom, what are the businesses of the future that are going to be created. What we do know and what we are very, very committed about is that the impact on society is going to be incredibly positive. We know that right now there is anxiety about this technology, but I think what's very important is to ensure that you're trusting yourselves with a partner that has the global infrastructure and the resilience and security around your data, because data is the key asset here. Really, really important. And the one thing we know what to do with is to ensure data security. Our cloud, our infrastructure is built sovereign by design. It's available locally to you. Only our customers have access to that data and can move that data. And so ensuring that your data is available to your organization so that they can innovate at scale with all of the tools and platforms we bring to the table is what's going to unleash this potential, right, in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East.
Okay, so just to wrap up, Tanuja, you've been in your role now for, I believe, 4 years. I'm just wondering what your overall vision and long-term plan is for the region, in particular for Saudi Arabia.
Well, look, as I said, I have a personal passion for the region. I've spent the last years, Tom, in and out of the region. I live in London, of course, but I'm there a lot. I think all of the work that we're doing, and whether it's Bahrain, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, this level of investment that we're putting in is fueled by our passion for the region. I have a phenomenal team, by the way, there locally. We're expanding that team actually locally as well, investing in them. And combined with our partners, Humane, STC, and by the way, Deloitte, McKinsey, if you think about this incredible ecosystem that Saudi has been able to welcome, I think together, I'm very, very excited about the future. I'm excited for our customers. Our customers tell us they are waiting for our region to launch so that we can be there with them. And I personally could not be more committed to Saudi Arabia.
Okay, well, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Thank you very much indeed. Tanuja Randery, Managing Director and VP of the Europe, Middle East, Africa region for AWS. Thank you for your time, madam.
Thank you, Tom, for your time.